My whole strategy is multi-day breakouts, news breakouts, earnings, and all the things. What I've noticed is how AI has helped me is getting these earnings play with the movers. Sometimes there's like 20 different earnings and they all look good. And I might not have time to like look into which one has the highest EPS growth or revenue growth, all sorts of that stuff. When you get an alert through AI, it's usually because it's getting volume. And as a traders, we need that volume. That is how like trade ideas and how I started using Holy AI much more. In like 5 seconds, I know why is it moving, how is it gonna move probably. That's how trade ideas has been really helpful lately.
So now that you're a champion and you've won one of these challenges, do you have any advice for those people who are seeing this and saying, okay, I want to take a shot at the next challenge?
I would say in generally follow the rules because the leaderboard it changed quite a bit even during this competition. But yeah, join the competition. It's not that expensive. If you're new to trading, it gives you a tool to like, okay, this is the real world that we have in our computer. That is how it is gonna be when you start like trading in real. And if you're already a professional, just use Holy AI. It's so easy.
Okay, everyone, welcome back to the channel. We are interviewing Manish today of the AI in July trading challenge that we talked about. This was a really interesting one where all of the trades had to be taken from our artificial intelligence engine. People could take trades a couple days later. People could fade it if they thought it was wrong, do all kinds of stuff, but really narrowed the selection down of what people were allowed to trade based around this artificial intelligence kind of machine learning type system. It was a really interesting challenge with a lot of back and forth. A lot of people actually had to get not disqualified, but had to have trades taken off to demonstrate that hey, you didn't follow the rules here, so we had to remove that trade. So the leaderboard said one thing at the end, and then the winner was actually completely different, which I'll talk about the reaction to that as well. So just want to do a little introduction, and then let's just pop into it here with. So how you doing?
Good,
How,
good, Michael. How are you?
First of all, thank you for coming by. There's no obligation that our winners have to come chat with us, but so far we've been very gracious that everyone wants to come and share their experience, which I think are fantastic. Just so you know, we've gotten a lot of feedback from these of people who've learned something from these type of interviews. They've been encouraged to try different training styles, do different things. So I think that would be fantastic. So I just want to get into it. Can you just a little bit about yourself, a little bit about, what got you interested in the market, how long you've been trading, you know, trading styles roughly that you implement, that type of thing. Just introduce the world.
Uh, yeah, I started a while ago, 3, 4 years, I'd say. But I wasn't consistent for almost 2 years.
No?
Uh, what got me started was I was just bored, and I wanted to do something online. So I started Googling. One of the things that I always had in my mind was to be like a stockbroker, to work in like Wall Street.
Yeah.
So I did not. I came to America as a student visa. Um, and then when I came here, I did not know that if I could do this, a lot of legal issues, blah, blah, blah. But somehow I got my work permit, and that allowed me to start looking into like investing and all sorts of other stuffs. Yeah, and I started Googling, something came up, like it was E Trade or something.
Hmm.
I just opened my account, man, funded it, and that's the history. Yeah,
Just right in off the deep end, eh? Just hey, I'm gonna try this
yeah,
trading thing and just got to work. So that's
yeah.
interesting.
It
I
was
love
just it
yeah,
was just a quick math. So yeah.
I just love the story about how and I hear this a lot, right? People are interested first in being a stockbroker, but I think what they think of when they're looking at a stockbroker is actually different what it ends up being in the real world. Was that your experience too, that you had this kind of image of what a stockbroker would be, and as you researched it further, like what pushed you off stockbroker and into trading?
So how I saw this Wall Street thing was more of like a movie image,
Yeah.
like you call someone, you're buying this stuff, you're selling this stuff, you're shouting someone. And then when I opened my first day on my E-Trade account, I see this software and it's like a buy, sell, bid and ask. Like I didn't even know what bid and ask was. So I come from Nepal. We don't have much of an internet back then, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and that was like a huge shocker to me. So I'm sitting in my classroom. My teacher is like, "Hey, you can use your laptop." So I just left my college that day. I just wanted to see what it is, and it was a huge shocker to me that none of the thing that I thought is actually here. This is just me, my computer, and the stocks that I'm watching.
Hmm.
So yeah, complete different world was what I was expecting.
So where did your education come from? Seems like you were just completely like not even in or around the world of trading or finance or anything. So when you started to look at all these things, you say, what the heck's a bid? What's an ask? What's all this? Where did you go to figure all that out?
Google, YouTube, yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of stuff was from YouTube. Uh, just plain Google, reading tutorials, watching tutorials, and slowly start. I mean, you start grabbing stuffs, like what's moving, what's happening.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's how it started.
I love that, and it's definitely unique from when I started trading, unique from when a lot of people started trading, where you had to kind of be employed at a firm. You know, there wasn't just a website you could go to and just type information in and get, we're talking trading, but, if you want to learn to code, if you want to learn, for me as an old dad, it's a lot of DIY stuff, right? How do I fix my, this thing that the kids broke?
Yeah.
Um, but it creates a problem. So that's going to be my next question is how did you know of all the things that you could look at for trading? There is a lot of um, BS out there, let's say nicely, right? People saying, hey, I've got this
Yeah.
strategy that's right 90 some odd percent of the time. How did you, when you were doing this research, how did you filter out what was complete nonsense to make sure that you were learning things that were actually legit?
So one of the things that I mostly did was I started using a lot of scanners, online scanners, to see why it moved, how it moved, and then I started watching a lot of interviews from YouTube, uh, from especially the ones with the chat with traders,
Okay. Yep. That's
um,
great. Yeah.
and that gave me a base to like what legit traders are and what scams are from how these days are in Instagrams and all that stuff. So yeah, I it took a while to figure out, but I was consistent. Like woke up every day at 5 a.m. because I lived in California,
Hmm.
and then I was in my desk. I did not know what to do, but I was in my desk trying to figure it out. And a month passes, 2 month passes, then you start noticing Twitter and all these traders that are there who are actually making good trades. And then I started like, why is he making that trade? How is he making that trade? What made him like think through that process? So yeah, a lot of figuring out stuff through YouTube, Twitter, all of the social media. Yeah.
I love that too, just because there's a lot of people out there who will look at someone on Twitter who's making very good trades, and their initial reaction will be more of, "Tell me what you're going to trade next." Right? They're just looking for give me the pick, give me the idea. But I love how you
Yeah.
looked at it and said, if I can figure out why he did that thing, then I could do it myself, as opposed to just trying to figure out what that person's going to do next. So that's again, that's fantastic, and it shows the commitment. So you mentioned at the top that it took you 2 years to really kind of get your legs under you and to feel kind of confident with that. A, when did you find trade ideas in that time? And B, again, 2 years is a pretty decent time to not be consistent. So, yeah, how did you find trade ideas, and then again, how did you persevere for that 2 years? Apologies, you just froze entirely, but you're back and everything's
Yeah.
looking
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
here now.
Uh, yeah. Uh, Especially through YouTube. And also, I was following this guy from Investors Underground. They started promoting trade ideas back then,
Hmm.
so it was an easy way to like access to see like the AI stuff and the movers and the alerts and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, and especially through YouTube lately. I mean, with various like live sessions, it
Hmm.
has been so easy because I've been traveling lately. I could just pop a YouTube, just listen it, put it in my AirPods for like 30 minutes, and I know what's moving in the day. Why is it moving in the day? So yeah,
Well,
that's how
that's
Trade
awesome.
Ideas has really been helpful.
Yeah,
lately.
I'm glad you love that resource. I don't know
Yeah,
how Barry does it that long every day. Just but thankfully he's there and he's
yeah.
doing it. So, um, do you normally take a very close look at the AI because this trading challenge, was entirely using the AI? Is that something that you use in your trading anyway to
Yeah.
get started? And are you leaning on it more? Like how, how what was your experience, I guess, leading up to the challenge with the AI?
Um, so my whole strategy is very simple. It's multi-day breakouts, news breakouts, earnings, and all the thing.
Hmm.
Uh, what I've noticed is how AI has helped me is getting these earnings play with the movers, because there's like 20 different earnings and they all look good. I mean, and I might not have time to like look into which one has the highest EPS growth or revenue growth, all sorts of that stuff. So as soon as how Holy AI has helped me is like when you get an alert through AI, it's usually because it's getting the volume, and as a traders, we need that volume, right? So that is how like trade ideas and how I started using Holy AI much more, is to
Yeah.
get an alert like, hey, look, this stock has an earnings. There it is. And in like 5 seconds, I know why is it moving, how is it gonna move probably, right? So that's how trade ideas has been really helpful lately.
So good, yeah, good focus list. 'Cause especially during earnings season, and there are times in the markets where things are dull, and there's times in the market where there's almost too much to trade. So using that as a focus list makes sense. Now, when you were trading with the AI, we're watching all the trading in the background, and your trading looked phenomenal with great risk management. Were you specifically following that day's worth of AI's calls? Were you ever dipping into prior days, or are you just, I want the day the news comes out, and then after that the stock's dead to me and it's time to move on?
You mean during the competition or in
Yeah,
general?
like is it that day's AI's call that's interesting, or is there any past work? I know some people, they like to look at the thing that
uh
was moving yesterday. They like to look at it today. There's some people who are just like, that's yesterday's news. I'm not interested.
yeah. It actually depends on what type of market we're really in, because if we're in like a trending market, then I would actually look through like 3 months of or whatever, like 3 weeks sometimes,
Okay.
because usually these stocks that AI has alerted, they tend to have a follow through. So, and that as a trader, it's really important, and especially like if it's like a week old, then it's on my hot watch list. I have a monitor. I put every stock up there, because that's what we need as a traders. Yeah.
And what was your when it comes to these? So you're talking about, seems like you're trading momentum and news, right? So some sort of catalyst has to occur, and you're trying to trade that momentum. I think the biggest thing, and one of the most important things to always talk about, is risk. Right? How do you think of risk? How do you manage risk? How do you make sure that these things that you're trading, that can be incredibly volatile in both directions, don't end up coming around and biting you?
Yeah. My basic risk strategy is like it's opening candles low.
Okay.
Usually, if I have an entry on 15-minute chart, if it's a swing trade, usually it's 15 minutes to 1 hour. So previous candles low. That's usually my go-to strategy on a trending market. But if the, let's just say, market has given up 20 MA, then it's probably going to be very choppy. So I tend to put my risk much smaller on those trading sessions, because I mean I generally don't trust these stocks, and if the market doesn't have a momentum, then usually these stocks are probably going to turn around as well. So if I'm, let's say, using 100% of my risk on trending market, I'll probably do 50% risk and even tighten the stops as well. Yeah.
No, that makes sense,
So
right?
that's how I generally do the risk management.
Yeah. So the now when it comes to risk per trade, so that's how you manage each individual trade. But when it comes to risk per trade, is it a set value of your account on every trade, or are you changing that based off whether you think it's like a really good setup? Maybe you're risking a little more when it comes to that actual account value. And what does that look like? Are you risking 1% of your account per trade, or are you going a little bit crazier and risking 2 or 3 or 5% of your account per trade?
Usually I start with 1% because the win rate actually is not that much of a on these momentum setups. So I do 1%, but only if I'm doing 2 or 3% if the trade is already a winner and I already have some cushion on my P&L. If not, then I just stick to the 1% usually.
Okay, so you're looking to add to your winners. Do you have any? I have never found luck with that myself, but I'm always looking to do it. So do you have any tips on what you look for? And yes, this is a trade that I should add more risk to versus this is a trade I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna get out when the momentum turns.
Yeah. So how one thing that I learned from especially watching various sessions and YouTube is adding to winner is it's kind of tricky, but I know one guy who told me if you're gonna take that trade again, that's when you add to your winner. But if you're not gonna take that trade as a whole new trade, then there's no point in adding to because it's just trending. It's not doing anything, and you probably have a FOMO of like you want to make more money, but that usually ends up being the right trade again. So yeah,
I love that. So
that's how I add to the winners. I
so
treat them as a whole new trade. Yeah.
yeah, so you're treating it as yeah, that this even though I'm adding to it, it's like I took one trade and yes, I'm still in that one, but I would take this trade if I had missed that first one. So I'm going to take a second trade. Is that how you're looking at it?
Yeah, because basically you're adding a percentage of your account as a risk to that trade. So I think that's the best way to go. Maybe it changes later. I don't know. But yeah, lately I do that. Yeah.
So is there any do you make any changes when you're doing the competition versus your normal trading, or did you just trade like you normally would in the competition in the same vein that you normally would, maybe with a little more risk?
Uh, with the competition, yeah, we obviously it'd probably be lying if we don't tell that we're not taking reckless risk.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is my first time competing, so how I treated this was like if I'm gonna take that trade on my real account, I'll take that trade. If not, like I don't care about winning or losing here. So, and then the stocks that we actually had to trade were uh, a very short list, right? Plus, the market wasn't treating us really well, and I'm like we had spike going up and down like crazy. So yeah, that's I mean, with the competition, I just traded whatever I would have traded in my real account, and the size and position sizing it kind of varies, but I was using the same stops that I was used in my regular account as well.
So now that you're a champion and you've won one of these challenges, I guess a good last question to leave with is other people that are watching this and want to compete in future challenges. I know it's a little bit about, giving up some information to your competition, but do you have any advice for those people who are seeing this and saying, "Okay, I want to take a shot at the next challenge." Anything that you would tell them to do or anything you would tell them to avoid to kind of help that next challenge work well for them?
I would say in generally follow the rules, because the leaderboard it changed quite a bit even during this competition, and I even watched a couple of other interviews, and it was the same issue.
Hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, join the competition. It's not that expensive, right? It gives you a tool to actually, if you're new to trading, it gives you a tool to like, okay, this is the real world that we have in our computer, and that is how it is going to be when you start like trading in real. And if you're already a professional, then yeah, I mean, maybe you could like just Just use Holy AI. It's so easy. Um, Plus, I had one mentor who actually taught me how to grab data from trade ideas and create scans. If you're not using various scans, and if you want to use your own scans, narrow it down for the next competition, this is a perfect tool. Like it's just the best out there.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks for competing. First of all, thanks for participating, and thanks for coming by to share your knowledge. I know people greatly appreciate it when people that you know been in the trenches and fought the battle and won come to share those stories with everyone else. So, listen, I hope that I can have you back on the channel. I hope you enter again. I hope you win again, and it will be great to see how your 3 year journey kind of continues on. So again, thank you very much for coming by.
Sure. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye, everyone.